I just idly ran around in circles for a little too long at the beginning of this particular session and was... Oh. Oh. That's not where that sentence was going. Is this breaking your immersion? Is this bad for your... Help me. Help. Please. Is there a dash? Wait, okay. Oh, I found a jump spot. Damn. Alright, well the sentence was supposed to end with I've been running idly around in circles for a little too long at the beginning of the session and was having trouble finding how to leave because it's a circular shaped space with all the passages closed off. What the fuck? Actually, I don't know if I'm going forward or backwards. It's a common struggle. That appears to be an enemy. Right, I should equip my new fucked up ability. Is it a Picto or just a Lumina? Painted power. How is it expensive? What? It's not even expensive? What the fuck? Second chance in painted power, damn. How you doing on energy? Not great. Stay marked isn't that tough. I do need to spend more points to be able to equip these things. Yeah, I guess I'll put these both on her so I can memorize them. I wanted Verso to have it because he does so much damage that obviously I want him to have painted power, but we'll just have to memorize it first. Let's see, these aren't memorized yet. So if I were to predict where we're going, because this game it tends to expertly walk the line of having big narrative swings, but also having those narrative swings have relatively minor mechanical consequences for the game, for the player. Like, they kind of showed their hand when Gustav just didn't have that much of a skill tree, and then Verso replaced him and used his weapons and inherited his Lumina points and equipment and so on. And I was like, oh, they made it so you didn't waste any resources on Gustav in any real way. Like, Verso mechanically replaces him. I figure either we're going to get new party members that resemble the 3 previous party members, or honestly, probably Maelle just recreates them? Because apparently everyone's just paintings. So if they are truly gone, can she just make them again? Because now we're fully like... we see the Matrix code now, and we know that we have control over this setting. So otherwise, it's like, that's a wild amount of Lumina and mechanical investment, and also just like people you might rely on to play the game. Like, I am sorry to say Maelle is one of my least coherent characters. I had a little bit of a breakthrough with the marked Virtuosa ability, and I like her weapon, but I don't have a great idea of how to be using her stances. I'm not really good at the stance characters. They're weird to me. He's got a brush. This is the real Renoir.
Papa.
Alicia. You're safe. I thought I told you to stay home.
Technically, my body's at home.
Some of Eline's finest work. I regret that it caused you so much pain. What Eline did was unfair to you most of all. Please, accept the Descendre family's apologies. I know it seems absurd to offer oblivion as recompense, but perhaps that's the outcome we both desire.
What?
I'm proud of you. Getting your mother out of the canvas was not easy. Once we erase the canvas, we won't have to worry anymore.
But she's home now. Why?
You know your mother. Verso painted this canvas. It contains a piece of his soul. She'll never willingly part with it.
No.
For the sake of the living, we must part with the dead.
No, Papa. See, I hid the canvas.
She will always find it. This is our only opportunity, while she's too sick from her prolonged descent into the canvas to return.
No. Papa. Papa, please. This is Verso's only canvas. You can't destroy the last piece of him that we have. This is my home now. You can't just decide...
Your home? After all that with your mother, you want to stay?
You know how little remains of my life outside.
Alicia, you'll die. You've already been here longer than you should.
But...
No. Look at me, I said no. I am not letting my daughter risk her life. Alicia.
I'm not, Mum. I'm not going to lose myself if I stay.
I know full well you will, and I am not doing this again!
No! Papa, what are you...
It's time to go home.
Verso, come on. Come on.
Whoa, it looks like the Star Beast thing from Elden Ring. She's totally bringing them back, isn't she? Yeah, she just gathered up the essence of the 3 party members, and she's gonna bring them back. She's getting too many painter powers that nobody can stop her now from messing around with things. Ever since she learned how to banish people. It like showed her like a glimpse beyond the veil, and now she knows how to manipulate things. It's like the moment where Neo makes the hallway breathe around him before the Agent Smith fight, where it turns around. It's like, oh shit. He's working at it.
So easily. What am I doing wrong?
Don't be discouraged. It's only been a day since you remembered your Paintress side.
We believe in you.
Remember them. Painting isn't about verisimilitude. It's about essence. Truth of who they are. Your father made the axles, right? She who plays with wonder, he who guards truth with lies.
They're the essence of your mother and your brother.
We have much to talk about.
So you were her daughter? And you were a paintress too?
So cool, right?
And you knew this whole time! You fucking coward! You betrayed us! We trusted you!
You can bring them back too. Yeah? Everyone we've lost.
Yeah, but I need chroma and Papa controls all the chroma in the canvas.
So they can undo every gommage.
Not all of it. The expeditioners. The ones killed by Nevrons. Gustave noticed their chroma remains in their bodies. They never dissipated, like the gommage.
It's sold chroma and not pure. It won't be like bringing the two of you back, but we could use it in other ways.
Time for the greatest expedition in history.
There it is. Yeah, I figured she'd bring them back just because everything kind of mechanically fits that way. But they did a really good job at narratively making a lot of this work. Because a lot of video games would just contrive this kind of thing. Ah, the upgrades are just built into your bonfire now. I was wondering about that. I'm like, wait, don't I need that guy? I feel like I need that guy. So I'm a little worried about him backing off. Maelle still has red hair here. Kind of tempted to specialize a little bit here. I feel like I just need to figure out how to get Maelle to work. Luna and Verso are pretty powerful. I don't even feel like I play Luna very well. I just feel like Lightning Dance is too strong. Although I'll have more incentive to set it up to be even stronger, since now I can break the damage cap at least. So it turned out to not be a fight. Obviously I recognize the Curator, just at a distance I didn't recognize the Curator yet. So the Curator was our father all along. And it was the real father. So this whole time, the Curator's been guiding us to help us kind of kill his wife to get her out of the painting. So there was the obvious implication that the Curator was a special, otherworldly, beyond the mortal ken of what we're interacting with in the story kind of character, but because he was silent we couldn't tell what his deal was. He was reminding me of the guy, the old lich type guy you meet at the beginning of Baldur's Gate 3, who you pick up almost incidentally, but then he's clearly a big deal, even though he kind of never takes the steering wheel in the story and never joins the party and doesn't really have much to do in the story. He's just really clearly just an insanely big deal and has some kind of level of investment in guiding you forward, which is wild to me because I feel like that character might be optional, I don't know if he's that technically optional, but when we encountered that character, he felt so incidental. Like we just went into a random crypt at the beginning of the game, and oh, he joined our camp, huh? And then as the game went on, he just continually felt like a big deal, but never quite entered the story. He just is upsettingly powerful and guiding us in some way, which makes it feel like he has an investment in that. Like he's clearly like he has a goal that's being served, but he's taking a gentle hand at doing so. The curator was immediately suspicious because Maelle, after the big attack, was just in the mansion, which we like. The mansion has always been clearly some kind of weird fourth wall interdimensional, super important, strange place, which we now know is an abstraction of the real world. So it's like it's really important on that perspective. But what's interesting in particular is trying to figure out how he got there. In particular, did the curator and Renoir, as we know him, know each other? The real Renoir and the painted Renoir? Like, did they know each other? Were they working together, or were they antagonists to each other? It's not entirely clear because we don't get to see all the different elements going on there. It seemed like both of them had access to the mansion. When I started saying what I'm saying right now, I was going to say that, oh, clearly the curator rescued Maelle and took her to the mansion while everyone else in Expedition 33 got wiped out in an upsetting fashion. Just everyone. Just every single person gets wiped out immediately by what we still know to be upsettingly strong monsters down in the Dark Shores. And of course Renoir himself, who's immortal, and also had the element of surprise and decapitated people that thought he might be friendly, because he's a human. Dick move. It's incredibly unfair how little the expeditioners knew about anything. Not only about the Gommage, or about the continents, or Nevrons, but not even understanding what's going on with the motives of anything, or the idea that there's this entire plot happening, or the fact that the world exists the way it does. They fundamentally don't understand anything. But yeah, I started with the thought that maybe the curator saved her from Renoir, but I'm like, I don't know, maybe Renoir specifically kidnapped Maelle because, you know, it's his daughter. In fact, it's literally his daughter, because it's Maelle is Alicia. Because I was like, oh, it's a painted version of his daughter. He can't kill her. Even even the painted version of Renoir can't kill a painted version of Alicia. And I'm like, wait, no, it's the painted version of Renoir saving the real version of Alicia, who's been painted over. This gets complicated to talk about, but it's surprisingly not that complicated. Like, I get really exhausted by overly esoteric fantasy lore. I regularly have to review what the fuck is happening in Final Fantasy XIV and then fail to internalize any of it over and over again, despite playing it for hundreds of hours. People have to continually re-explain basic elements of the world of Final Fantasy XIV to me because they just aren't intuitive, and they don't come up enough in a way that's reinforcing how they work, and it's not comprehensible in that way. But like, this is interesting because almost every mechanic of how this setting works is emotional. So it's like I can actually there's definitely like family details or little bits and little gaps that I'm not sure about, but overall I'm like, yeah, no, I get it. This makes sense about the things that I'm able to piece together so far, and I'm able to piece together more things intuitively on a regular basis. Sometimes people think that it's bad when a story is predictable. One of the worst things that's ever happened is that sometimes creators of shows, sometimes showrunners, will see fan theories correctly predict what's happening later in their story. And then they'll try to correct for that by redirecting the story so that something else happens that isn't what they predicted. No. People being able to predict your story is good. Because the story, that's usually a sign of, obviously, like, being able to surprise people is fun, and the story has insane shit that it refuses to tell you up front, but that stuff was always in mind, and they knew that, so when those reveals happen later, it all makes sense later. But you can only do that if you commit to the path, and that's going to lead to certain amounts of telegraphing and foreshadowing, telegraphing is a weird thing to use when foreshadowing is right there, which will make elements of the story possible to predict or intuit on some level. But that's good. That means you're telling a coherent story that people are going to like, as opposed to cheating, either by refusing to give people anything or by just straight up making shit up later and hoping it makes sense with everything that came afterwards. When you write a story like this, you have to start knowing all of the twists and all of the reveals and all of what's actually going on, and then you have to write backwards from there, knowing that the whole time. You can't make up the twist later because so much shit will break. I actually did a version of this which was a bit of fun, which is that, and on a very small scale, I'm in my visual novel since November. The whole gimmick there was me knowing exactly what's going on in the story and how it's going to end, and I literally wrote it backwards from those ending scenes all the way to the front, because that made it so it's consistent with, like, I knew where things were going next, and so I knew what was actually happening in the story, which led to the ability to then restrain the information at the beginning and have the intro be pretty compelling for a fair number of people, as far as I could tell, because while they're being introduced to the characters, they're also just having the veil slowly stripped back of, like, wait, what the fuck's happening in the story? From what starts from a story that starts with in a really mundane setting, seemingly, and that's a lot of fun. I love those kinds of stories, but specifically when they're told well. And I love that the game's not overly built into. It's not overly invested in esoteric lore that's too hard to explain, even though the specifics of the Gommage is a bit of a math problem to figure out. There's hyper-specific logistics that I can ask questions about that I can fixate on too much sometimes, but those aren't things the game expects me to understand for the most part. But like the actual stuff that they are relying on is pretty. It's really emotionally charged, and that helps it land. And a lot of one of my ongoing things that I think about with writing is how much it's important to tie all of your lore to emotion. Like, I think about how often elements of the Mass Effect universe really stick with people, and it's because you're told all these elements of the world, even though you're just being monologued at by a relatively low production value character just standing on a ship and monologuing. They're a member of your party that you're invested in via other scenes that emotionally invested you in that character. They have their own deal, and you're finding out what their deal is. You're finding out their backstory, which is tied to this or that culture or this or that setting. And so they get to teach you about one of the species in that setting, or they get to teach you about some element of the world through that character as a lens. So, like, you're suddenly really invested in Morden and how Solarians only live for like 40 years, because here is this old young scientist who changed the world and like did something upsetting and has a time limit with which to resolve that, because they only have so many years left on this life. They're having this brief, extremely bright life, and they did something horrible and have to turn it around. But that horrible thing is one of the most important bits of lore in the entire setting, and they do that over and over again with those characters. It's like Mass Effect is so well written from that perspective as a complex sci-fi universe that would take too long to explain. Whereas on the other hand, if you go into amateur writing territory, I cover a lot of furry visual novels, and they're just written by some guy who just started writing and doesn't have any experience, generally speaking. Not to like dig on people, but I'm just like, that's just the reality of amateur writing. They just will often start their entire. In fact, I played a game like this week, from my perspective, not from your perspective, where the game just starts with like a half-an-hour monologue of exposition about like all these intricate things about interstellar politics for your sci-fi setting, and it's like, no, this isn't how you do it. I don't care about this setting or its characters yet. I haven't even met a character yet. You can't do this to me. You can't just dump a bunch of shit on me like it's a Legend of Zelda intro and hope that it sticks with me. If you hit me with a Legend of Zelda style like hieroglyphic monologue, guess what? I never remember those monologues the moment the game starts, because the moment I'm actually walking around in the first level and being like, oh, it's over here, oh, it's a chest, and ooh, I immediately don't remember what the monologue at the beginning was about. I have to like rewatch it later if I ever do. So this game handles so much so well narratively with how it does that. Like, this has been crazy seeing this reveal play out, which is really upstages the Act 1 reveal with Gustav's death, which itself was just an impactful but small moment, a very personal thing, which was just the reframing of the narrative where you thought Gustav was the main character, but clearly Maelle is the main character. And at that point, this story becomes about her new motivation, which we then experience from a third-person perspective as Verso, who is his own character and has his own deal going on. He's not like he's not one of those relatively flat audience surrogate characters that just watches what's happening. He's like very much a agent in all this and really interesting, but it's pretty, I don't know if it's that clear necessarily to everyone, but like throughout all of Act 2, I'm like, nah, Verso's not the main character still. Maelle is clearly the main character, right? Like, everything about this points to Maelle being the protagonist of the story, even if Verso's the POV character. And now we know that it's extremely true, because Maelle's the only person in the party that's from the real world, essentially. And now that we really know what her deal is on a whole other level. So this is wild. Anyway, some of that thought process was more coherent than others, and I kind of lost track of where I was going a little bit. Anyway, so we got Gustav's homage. Deal high single target lightning damage, 8 hits. Increases damage to marked targets, doesn't remove mark. It's very expensive, but it really emphasizes attacking marked targets all the time, and that this one specifically doesn't even take it out. A struggle being here that, of course, you have so few abilities to go through. I think we might be in a post-fire era with her. I don't think I care about inflicting burning anymore on people as Maelle. So I think that we're going to be at a point where the goal... I don't know how much more burning scales. I actually have no idea what burning's damage is based on, besides maybe the number of stacks it currently has. But... and maybe you just have to inflict crazy amounts of stacks, but I don't know how much that can scale beyond having the when you inflict burn effect. Let's see. So I might want to put Gustav's homage there just because it's really strong. But I don't really know how to build this character beyond per se being a pretty appealing sounding ability. But yeah, it said that she unlocked 3 new abilities, or that she unlocked new abilities, and that's clearly the 3 locks that were up here. Phantom Strike. Deals very high void damage to all enemies. 4 hits. Void damage. That's different from Dark. Also gives 35% of a gradient charge. Oh, it's expensive. Deals high single target void damage, 5 hits. Applies 1 burn per hit. Damage increased for each burn on the target. Oh. Okay, so there's some incentive to still make her a burning character. Interesting. Deals extreme single target void damage. I do still have the burning based weapon. Maybe I should stay invested in burning. And then have this as my, kind of like a finisher that I can do. Honestly, it feels like a replacement for burn. It only costs 5. She does 5 burn with it, but also does more damage based on how much burn is already there, so you can just keep using it. It's kind of an opener. Weirdly, it puts her in offensive stance, but it doesn't actually rely on an existing stance. It has no benefits tied to that, which is unusual for this character. Okay, so Burning Canvas does seem pretty neat. Stendhal, I don't know how to pronounce that. Deals extreme single target void damage, 1 hit, removes self shields and applies defenseless. What's a self shield? I've heard of shields. Is self shield something else? Is that a distinction? I don't know what a self shield is. I assume it removes the enemy's shields and applies defenseless to the enemy. Because otherwise, how is this like a penalty? Like it makes me vulnerable? Do I lose my shields and I gain defenseless? Is there a positive to having defense? I don't know what to do with that ability. I think I might work my way to burning canvas, and I might reinvest in some levels of burning abilities, although this might be spammable in its own right. The downside of burning canvas is it doesn't benefit from you being in a particular stance. But the upside of burning canvas is you could do it once you're in Virtuosa stance to do high single target damage for 5 hits, but very high. And then if you're in Virtuosa stance and they're burning, it does even more damage. And if I counter, I'm trying to remember what my weapon does right now. I think if I counter somebody, I enter Virtuosa stance and burn. Or I think those might be two different weapons counter effects. This is like an AoE. This thing does 15 burn, which is pretty strong. This gets rid of target shields. That one can break. Someone's tempted to keep that one around. Virtuosa stance at the target's burning. A lot of these really do kind of synergize in circles with each other. It's specifically Paintress that doesn't... Paintress and Gustave's Homage kind of line up with each other in a way. No, they don't. They both want the enemy to be marked. Neither of them makes the enemy marked. Paintress is just very cheap when you're in Virtuosa stance, which can happen frequently. I don't know if I equip this particular ability. But it is a very strong ability. I guess the question is, how often do I think I'm going to use a specialized shield breaking ability versus just spamming attacks as Verso, which is kind of shit by comparison, in that it's more efficient to use a magic dedicated ability, but also shields don't come up often enough to justify using an entire slot on that. It's wild having to have so few slots. I just constantly feel so limited by my space on the... wow, there's still a lot more abilities to go with how long his skill list looks on the otherwise. Monoko terrifies me. Upgrade weapons. Can Dualiso level up anymore? We need Grandiose Chroma Catalyst, which we still don't have. Yeah, we have Resplendent. The one that was so rare, now we have so many of it. So she also needs Grandiose. Does everyone need Grandiose? Oh. I've been picking up a million Resplendent and even buying them, but I've actually graduated past them. Unless I specifically want to elevate a new weapon, which I might want to do here. I might want to upgrade the new weapon that's like Scaverum, but better. What was it called? Lithalim? Is that the one? 50% 50% generate dark stain. Dark or light stain when consuming stains. I don't know if that is better or not. You do chroma damage, which might be stronger. But it says dark or light stain. Is it a 50% chance to generate dark or 50% chance to generate light? Or is it a 50% chance to generate either of them and then 50% chance that nothing happens? Because that might be fewer dark stains than normal. It'd be cool if it's 50% chance to make dark or light, because then that could be really strong. Then you gain AP sometimes for light stains, but also just like better results in general. Yeah. It says 50% more damage. Yeah, dark. I wish the game clearly explained how its percentages work. I don't know if the dark or light are sharing a 50% or each has a 50% chance, because that's very different. In fact, if it was non-overlapping, then it'd be a 100% chance that you, when consuming a stain, generate one of these two things, and it's a coin flip between the two, which would be crazy. But the alternative is to get fewer dark stains than normal. which could still be really strong, just in that generating more light stains is pretty strong because they let you have more freedom of what spell to cast next. I think I'm gonna do this one. I don't currently need Resplendent all that much anyway, so I can just invest in this. And the whole point of having a backlog of that resource is that I can take other weapons and upgrade them. Oh, you can't. It still says Curator, interestingly, even though that character's not here. Challenges? Limit maximum damage? Enemy life multiplier. Huh. Limit maximum damage is a weird thing to have as an optional challenge mode, given that all you have to do is not equip the uncapped damage ability. 1300. The fact that the damage is lower is rough. It's 2 levels lower, but I don't know if that accounts for how much lower the damage is, and might be implying that that element is so strong. I can test it out maybe, but they might be implying that the element is so strong that they need to make it weaker. Kind of like how Dualiso's effects are so strong that it just has to. They just made it straight up weaker than other weapons. I've had that many Grandiose that it's already a level 26. And I was stuck in the Act 2 resource for so long that I've like lost track of where I was with the other stuff. Okay. I'm gonna give somebody else painted power. Don't know what's it. Critical rate. Random. I don't want random defense, even if it has 34% crit. Burning break, sure. Wait. Okay, there we go. I got confused. Double mark is expensive, so let's keep that. So stay marked. We'll replace stay marked with alphabetical. Painted power. There we go. And then equip stay marked. Stay marked Marshmallow Man. 50% chance to apply a mark when attacking a marked target. Well, only 50% chance. Right, that's separate from the double marking effect. Dang it, I was just thinking about an ability that I probably want to equip on somebody a moment ago, and I lost track of what it was. Was it up here somewhere? There's just so many things to consider. It was burn. Alphabetical. Burn. Burning break. Breaking burn. Breaking shots. They did breaking, burn, and burning break. Apply burn when breaking, apply break when burning. Jesus fucking, I'm gonna lose my mind. Alright. No, I want the double burn. Is it on you? On applying a burn stack, apply a second one. Double burn. That's expensive. That's really expensive. But if we want... I'm just like, on some level, if we want Alicia, if we want Maelle, yeah, she wants to go with Maelle, yeah. If we want Maelle to be really strong, then we want double burn on all of my characters, because they can all apply burn. Like, Verso applies burn on random procs on his shots and attacks. And if we double the burning that he's applying, then that completely builds up how much damage Maelle does. So even if I'm not playing Maelle correctly, I can make other characters make Maelle strong. But that costs 30. That's called double burn, so it's not under burn. See, this is why the alphabetical is kind of useless. You have to know the ability's name already, which is a bit awkward when there's a million different names. Let's see, yeah, double mark and double burn. Oop. I want everybody to learn these abilities in the long term. Maybe not double mark, because I don't know if they have to be able to apply mark. He can apply mark. He's a mark applier. Okay, he applies mark. I don't know if anyone else needs double mark, simply because I don't know if anyone else applies mark. Whereas they can do reapply mark. That makes sense. Yeah, so him having rewarding mark makes sense because he keeps applying mark. 2 AP on dealing damage to a mark target once per turn. Okay, it can't keep applying. Otherwise, this would be really fucked up because his shots can apply mark, and every time he applies mark, the next shot would give him 2 AP, but also his mark lasts 2 turns, so his every mark would give him 4 AP, which then gives him a number of shots that would then be able to apply another mark, probably. It's RNG, but it's likely. Which would then give him 4 AP again from shooting the mark target 2 more times, and he would just have, like, he'd shoot a guy 30 times. So I know why they put once per turn on this one. Oh god, the feedback loop there is so broken. I guess this is, I don't know if I get to leave camp this episode. We need to look at builds. It's a big deal. So I want double burn on everybody, but I don't know if I can afford it. It might be worth unequipping warming up with how slowly that gets stronger, because other things might be so strong that it's worth unequipping for now until I can afford to get more. But that only gives me 20 points. I need to get 10 more. We need painted power. We want mark, because that's one of the things that gives me AP. This gives me, I think, AP for applying a status effect and AP for shooting the mark. Which is wild. Base attack is obviously good, giving defenseless. Increased damage if exhausted is really superfluous. So that's one of the ones that I just equipped at some point just to give myself more to do. Increased break on free aim shots is a little superfluous, but it's also like really, really cheap. I think I might unequip warm up. I just need 8 more points. And maybe 50% chance to reapply mark when attacking a mark target is a little redundant because he attacks so often. Solo Fighter is one of those ones that's so cheap that it's almost not worth unequipping, but it is genuinely not something he needs to necessarily always have equipped. Yeah, more crit on burning. We want that because we're trying to make everybody burn people. Yeah, I think I'm going to be back on the fire treadmill again, especially with the damage uncapped. Fire does 9999 all the time, so it'll be interesting to see how much damage it might do to enemies when it is uncapped. Ah, damn. So many of these things are really built around how I actually play the game. Counterattack you have to earn, and I often don't. That's a reasonable thing to unequip. But overall, I just kind of wish I could steal some more points from other characters and put them on him right now. Yeah, double mark is expensive. Looking through, I'm like, what's the most expensive thing he has equipped? Beneficial contamination? Is one of the things he has equipped right now cheaper? No. Technically painted power, which will free up some points soon, which makes all the struggling a little pointless, maybe. Yeah, 1 AP on base attack. Damn. I might not be able to make it. I think I need to wait. We have a plan though. So, if I, at least if I can remember my goal. Shit. Where is it again? It's double burning, right? Favorites. Where is it? Double. Right. It's blurred out, so I was not locking my eyes onto that one. I want to give him double burn. Once I memorize the current ability, then I can switch this. I can switch Painted Power into him equipping a more expensive skill, and then memorize Painted Power for cheaper. And that'll refund some abilities functionally, and then I'll be able to put it on. Okay. She only has 16 free points, and she's currently memorizing things. And she already has double burn equipped. You have 20 points right now, so I can probably give you double burn. Oops. Second chance is 40. That's expensive. Okay, healing fire. Okay. Auto shell? Easy, go away. Double burn. Okay, yeah. We want as many bonus burns as we can to justify what we're doing here. Jarum. Virtuosa stance on counterattack's not bad. I do wonder if it might be worth switching back to something that applies a lot of burns. Critical hits apply burn, base attack applies 2 burn, 10% critical chance while stanceless. 100% critical chance while stanceless. Brularum sounds like a base attack build, which might be worth considering, but is in long term a boring way to build this character. She has enough abilities that apply burn that's maybe not necessary, but critical hits apply burn does seem pretty strong. Because if she has enough crit chance, she'll do burn all the time. This does 5 burn on counterattack, which is also pretty strong, but you don't know when she'll apply counterattack and when she'll accomplish that. But I do like that it's a Virtuosa stance on counter. I think I might keep Jarum just for that. But it's definitely tempting to go to Brularum because it would be strong to be able to have every crit apply burn. Especially when I'm making everyone have a pretty high burn chance, and I have that one thing. I have a Picto on most people, Lumina on most people that gives them 25% more crit against burning targets, which will be every target, unless they're immune to burn. Because my whole goal is to make people burn. Okay. So everyone's kind of turning into an engine for giving Maelle damage based on her one ability that does more damage to burning targets. Which... I read that correctly, right? It's more damage per burn, I think. I have to look at the skill tree. Damn it. Sorry that this is just a camp episode, but we're doing a lot of lore and story, and I've got some talk about there. And now I've got to build these characters for the next act. Yeah, damage increase for each burn on the target. That's fucking scary. That is an ability that you add once you've removed the damage cap. Ah, I'm going to kill the fuck out of Sprong. You know what? Sprong is so dead. He's so fucked. Alright. We've gone on for a while, so I guess this was my maintenance episode. Next episode, we'll talk to everybody around camp. And then presumably start Act 3, finally. Yeah. Okay, I'm glad that I have an approach that I feel like will amount to something. Although I do need to actually get that the Burning Canvas ability, so we need to level up a few more times still. Which will come soon.